I was lucky enough to have her 2 years ago in my sophomore English class, and really proud of how she's grown up. She's the captain of the swim team. She has so many accomplishments, but I think the coolest thing is that she has such an important message to share that you're going to get to hear today. So, saying that, please welcome Port Clinton High School senior, Alyssa Diaz.
At the end of my sophomore year, I gave a speech in my English class about why we should have mental health classes. I told everyone my story, and I would like to do the same with you today. I have been struggling with my mental health since I was in the 6th grade. I've even made a few mistakes that have landed me in the hospital. Now, when this happened, people suspected that I was just looking for attention. Yes, I was looking for attention, but that's not always a bad thing. I was seeking positive attention for help, and luckily, I found it. But why is it, when asking for help, men are seen as weak and women are seen as over-emotional? Men shouldn't have to put on this persona to show that they are strong, and women should be able to express themselves without being over-emotional. It's time we stop with the labels and assumptions and start encouraging anyone that is silently suffering to ask for help. I'll be the first to admit, asking for help is easier said than done. The first thing you have to do is you have to find your reason for getting help. This could be your family, your friends, or most importantly, yourself. For me personally, I found my reason and my hope in my family. But I have friends who found theirs in things like art or music or future goals like getting married or going to college. I know not everyone has a good home or family life or the distraction of hobbies or future plans, but you can still find help somewhere else. It could be a friend, a teacher, a counselor, or even a coworker. They're out there. But most times they don't know that you need help. They understandably mistake your silence for you being A-okay, when in reality you don't want to burden or bother anyone with your emotions. Some people who are struggling try to leave hints for others to pick up on, such as silence, social withdrawal, or mood changes. But this trail of breadcrumbs is not enough. The individuals who can help might be able to pick up on it, but they can only assume until you get the courage to admit it. So find that reason in your life to ask for help and confront it. Be vulnerable. Because once you open up, you'll be surprised by the level of care and concern that others have for you. Many people who are internally struggling tend to use coping skills. Coping skills are the methods a person uses to deal with stressful situations. A lot of people use coping skills without even knowing it, such as shaking your leg or other parts of your body when you're anxious. Another concealed coping skill is humor. For example, if you went to Mark Phillips' Red Talk, he mentioned that he uses humor to deal with stressful situations in his life. I struggled a lot with self-harm when I was in middle school. I know it's tough to talk about, but that's exactly why it should be talked about. Some days I still get these urges, but instead of engaging in life-threatening acts, I'll do something else, like bite my nails or snap a rubber band on my wrist. If you can't find coping skills, there are hundreds of websites and people out there that can help you. If you're a sensory person like myself, you can use your 5 senses to cope. If I'm feeling stressed or anxious, I like to feel something soft or even something to fidget with. If I'm having a panic attack, I try to use my 3x5 skill. You name 3 things that you can hear, smell, feel, see, and taste. This will help your mind focus on something other than the negative thoughts. The smallest things really can help you in the long run. If you know other coping skills, be sure to share them with other people. Now for the next minute or so, I would like to talk specifically to the guys in the room. I don't care if you haven't been paying attention this entire time, but for this next minute or so, I want you to really hone in and listen to what I'm about to say. You are not weak. You are not less of a man for having emotions. In fact, the suicide rates in men are 3 to 4 times higher than in women. Can anyone tell me why this is? Sydney?
Because men are told that they cannot express their emotions.
Yes, exactly. Men are told if they are to express their emotions, they are seen as weak. You have been told since day one that boys don't cry. And that's 100% true. But you want to know a secret? Men do. The suicide rates are higher in men because men feel more determined to go through with their plan because they don't tell someone how they're feeling. Whereas with a woman, they usually tell at least one other person how they're feeling. When I attempted to take my life, people said that it was stupid to call for help, or they told me, better luck next time. But it takes a lot of strength to ask for help. Keeping your emotions bottled up is one of the weakest things that you can do. You have to build up the strength to ask for help. Suicide is not the way out. You have a future. You were put on this earth for a reason, and that reason must be played out. Don't fall into toxic masculinity. Once you say how you're feeling, your life will change drastically. Maybe not right away, but over time. I'm not telling you to go around and say, oh, hi, I'm depressed. I'm simply asking you to find that person. It could be a teacher, one of your buddies, or a family member. If any of you feel alone, and you feel you don't have that person to talk to, please know that I'm here to listen to you, and that goes for every single person in here. You are not alone, and it's okay to ask for help and admit that you're struggling. I'm sure some of you are wondering, why should I be listening to this? I don't have mental health problems. I just came here to get out of class. I'll tell you why you should be listening to this. Hearing this could open your eyes on how to help others you know or suspect are suffering. Many people deal with things differently. For example, a month and a half ago, I went to a mental health facility for 8 days. While I was there, I had family sessions over the phone with my parents, talking about how they could help me when I came home. Many people think that they can't help those who are struggling, but a big factor is the way you phrase things. The way you phrase things has a huge impact on someone's response. For example, if you go up to someone who you think is struggling, don't say, what's wrong with you? Instead, try asking, are you okay? Don't tell them, you need help. Instead, offer, how can I help? People who are struggling are already on edge. The way you phrase things will 100% affect their response. Each and every one of you in here has the potential to change the outcome for someone. If you try to help someone who is suffering and they shoot you down, don't just give up. It takes time to build trust in a vulnerable situation. Give them time and then check back in. Don't ever let them forget that they're not alone and it's okay to ask for help. Help me. It's like the walls are caving in. Sometimes I feel like giving up, but I just can't. It isn't in my blood. Those are the first few lyrics of Shawn Mendes' song, In My Blood. Shortly after its release, it was in the top 10 on the Billboard charts. It was also nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Song of the Year. Was this because of his fame, his good looks, his fangirls, or was it the deeper meaning behind his song? My point is that everybody, even celebrities with millions of screaming fans and millions of dollars, struggle with mental health problems such as OCD, ADHD, bipolar depression, postpartum depression, or anxiety. It's more common than you're made to believe. You're made to believe that mental health issues aren't real and that you can just turn them on and off like a light switch. But they're just like any other disorder. Just because they aren't as visible as a broken leg or being sick with the flu doesn't mean that they aren't there. Millions of people struggle with their mental health, and they all have to build up the strength and courage to confront their feelings. Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This is 100% accurate. You won't just wake up one morning with the courage to confront how you're feeling. You're gonna have to work for it. It's like sports. If you're in a sport and you work out once a week and you do the same workout every single time, you won't get any better. You will only ever reach that one point. It's the same thing with your mind. You have to work out your brain, whether that's doing meditation or doing hobbies or things that make you happy. It's okay not to be okay. I'm just one person, a senior in high school that doesn't even really know what she wants to do with her life. But I felt that I was the type of person that needed to share this message. So open your mind, open your heart, and stop silently suffering. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so first of all, wow. Alyssa, that was one of the best, you're one of the strongest people I've ever seen to be able to come up here and do that. So we do want to take some questions for Alyssa, and I'm sure there might be some out there. So does anybody have one? We can get you the mic. Raise your hand if you have a question for Alyssa. So I have one first. If you're a person who feels like, you mentioned people that feel like this isn't for them, they're not the ones that struggle, what can they do? If they're going to leave this PAC right now, how can they help people that are silently suffering?
I would say just try to check in on the most important people in your life, or people that you used to be close with that aren't close with anymore, because you honestly never really know what's going on in someone else's life.
Okay. All right, any questions from the audience for Alyssa? Okay, we got one. Taylor, can you just say it loud enough so we can all hear it?
Oh boy. Will you heal or will you scar?
What do you mean?
Like,
Will you heal or will you scar?
huh?
Oh, yeah, explain that. Will you heal or will you scar?
Is the pain going to go away forever? Or are you going to remember it and hurt from that memory?
Well, I can't assure you that it's going to go away forever. I mean, I've been struggling with my mental health since the 6th grade. I mentioned that, and some days I still feel down in the dumps, but it's like writing a book. So you go through a struggle and you write that chapter down and you move on. If you get that feeling again, you go back to it and you remember that you made it through it once before and you can do it again.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? We can take one or two more. Don't everybody jump at once. Okay, all right, no more questions, last chance? Okay, all right, please give it up one more time for Alyssa. Okay, we're going to take a quick